All right, hey everybody, welcome to Sefer Hamitzvot day 46. So we're continuing yesterday's mitzvah. Today's mitzvah is Zachar Yom HaShabbos L'Kacho, which is that we remember the holiness of Shabbos by making Kiddush Friday night. This sanctifies the holiness of Shabbos, and we make Havdalah when Shabbos comes out, and this marks the separation between weekday and Shabbos. And we do this over a cup of wine. When do you make Kiddush? So ideally, as early as possible, but technically you can make it throughout the whole Shabbos. Havdalah, technically you can make till Tuesday. Technically without wine, it's fine. Like you technically did the mitzvah, but of course that's not how we do the mitzvah. We do the mitzvah over a cup of wine. Grape juice is not really ideal. It's not wine. I think we give allowances now for medical reasons, etc., but it shouldn't be somebody's default unless for whatever reason it really has to. And you can speak to your rabbi about that. When you think about the days of extreme poverty and people couldn't afford wine, this is where the leniency for Havdalah came in. Since it's unsure, since there's a difference of opinion if Havdalah is biblical or not, Kiddush for sure is biblical. Havdalah, some say yes, some no. So because in certain times when they couldn't afford it, there were leniencies there, let's say to do grape juice, or to do tea or other beverages. So a little bit that's still, like now there's people hold by those leniencies, but really it's good to know where it came from and maybe it doesn't always apply. Okay, now what type of wine do you use? So it's based on basically the quality of wine. So wine that has honey is not good, or yeast, not good. Officially, wine that's mevushal is not ideal too. And there are some people that are very strict to not use wine that's mevushal. The issue with this is that, and whoever's been to my house, we don't serve mevushal wine because it's an issue. If there's a non-Jew around, they touch wine and no one else can drink it. So really the problem with mevushal is if it's bad quality, because nowadays the mevushal wine, maybe it's not as tasty, but it's considered good quality wine. It's not an issue, and that's what most people do. Now, Mitch asked a question yesterday, and I mistakenly answered, so I'm going to have a chance to correct that. The biblical mitzvah is to make Kiddush and Havdalah for Shabbos. The rabbi said, let's do the same thing for Chag, for holiday, basically any days that we're not allowed to work, because it's the same idea. We're sanctifying this day that's separate, and that's where we're making Kiddush and Havdalah. One area where you could see that there's a difference is, let's say you have a Shabbos that goes into Yom Tif, right? So if, basically, if you're making Kiddush Saturday night for, whether it's Pesach or whatever holiday it is, in the Kiddush, you're going to make Havdalah. You insert in the Kiddush a Havdalah that's separating that we just came from Shabbos. Even though you're continuing, you're going into a holiday, you still have to make that distinction. However, let's say you're going from weekday to Shabbos. So it was the holiday Yom Tif on Friday, and then Friday night is Shabbos, or a continuation of the holiday. When you make Kiddush there, you don't say Havdalah, because you will only say Havdalah if you're going lower, so to speak. Shabbos is higher in holiness than the holiday is. So there's that interesting thing. On the holidays, we say Shechianu. When we make Kiddush, the woman says it by candlelighting, but the man says it in Kiddush. The only time we don't do this are the last days of Pesach. That's when we don't say Shechianu, not on Kiddush, not on candlelighting. And then, as we know, we also make Kiddush Shabbos day. But this is not biblical. This is the rabbis added this. It's called Kedusha Rabbah, which is kind of like a joke, like it's the bigger Kiddush. Really, it's not. Really, it's less significant, etc. But because of this, let's say somebody, if they want to make Kiddush on whiskey, there are more leniencies because it's a rabbinic Kiddush. And also, you're not allowed to eat before you make Kiddush Friday night because it's part of the meal. Some opinions hold that you also can't eat before Kiddush Shabbos day, but some also hold that you can't. It's not the same because it's Shabbos, because it's Shabbos day, and that's biblical. That's not biblical. All right, so that's the laws of Kiddush and Havdalah, and that's it. I hope you have an amazing day.